The Cleveland Browns head coaching search didn't just heat up, it just went absolutely nuclear. A perennial playoff contender has just hit the market after a shocking firing that shakes up the entire NFL landscape. If you thought this was going to be a boring week of checking flight trackers and waiting for Rooney Rule interviews to wrap up, you were dead wrong. The script has been flipped, the board has been reset, and the Cleveland Browns suddenly have a chance to make the splash hire of the decade. Before we dive into this absolute madness, do me a huge favor, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this video with a Browns fan who needs a reason to believe again. We are building a family here, and we need every single one of you in the dog pound to join the movement. Browns fans, I need you to listen to me very carefully because the trajectory of this franchise might have just shifted on a dime. We were sitting here, waiting, wondering if we were going to have to settle for a coordinator or a college coach. We were wondering if the Haslams were going to get this right. And then, boom. The Buffalo Bills dropped a bomb on the National Football League. According to Ian Rappaport, the Bills are officially moving on from Shawn McDermott following their heartbreaking divisional round loss to the Broncos. Let that sink in for a second. We are talking about a guy who has been the definition of stability in the AFC East for nearly a decade. But in this league, good isn't good enough anymore. The standard is perfection. And now, Adam Schefter is reporting that McDermott isn't looking to retire. He isn't looking to go sit on a beach in Florida and collect a paycheck. No. He told his staff he wants to coach immediately. He wants back in the ring. He wants revenge. And that changes absolutely everything for Cleveland. Let's have a real heart-to-heart, fan-to-fan conversation about what this actually means. I know the immediate reaction from some of you. I see the comments. I hear the noise on Twitter. We don't want a retread. We don't want a guy who just got fired. If he wasn't good enough for Buffalo, why is he good enough for us? I get it. The trauma of past failures is real. But look at the numbers. Seriously, take a step back and look at the resume. Shawn McDermott leaves Buffalo with a regular season record of 98-50. That is a nearly 66% winning percentage. Do you realize how insane that sounds to a Cleveland Browns fan? We haven't had a coach sniff that kind of consistency in franchise history. He delivered 5 AFC East titles. He made the playoffs 8 times. He turned a franchise that was a laughingstock, a team that had a playoff drought longer than ours at one point, into a perennial powerhouse. But, and it is a massive but, he never got the ring. An 8-8 playoff record. 2 AFC title game appearances, but he could never get past Mahomes, and now he can't get past the Broncos. The narrative is that he can't win the big one. The narrative is that he chokes in the big moments. And frankly, that is why he is unemployed today. But ask yourself this serious question, is Cleveland in a position to turn its nose up at a guy who wins 10, 11, 12 games a year in his sleep? Are we really too good for a guy who averages 11 wins a season? I don't think so. Here is the catch, and this is where I need you to really think about the fit. McDermott is a defensive guy. We just watched the league transition to young, offensive geniuses. Everyone wants the next McVay, the next Shanahan. If you hire McDermott, you aren't getting that. You are hiring culture. You are hiring toughness. You are hiring a guy who won't tolerate nonsense. But you absolutely need an elite offensive coordinator to pair with him. You cannot bring him in here and run a 1990s offense. We need innovation. If McDermott is the CEO, who is the architect of the offense? Rumors are swirling about guys like Mike McDaniel potentially being on the market or available if you can pair a McDermott defense with a McDaniel-style offense. That is a Super Bowl caliber staff. And imagine the defensive potential. Imagine if we kept Jim Schwartz? This is the dream scenario nobody is talking about. Can you picture a defensive room with Shawn McDermott and Jim Schwartz? That isn't just a defense, that is a war crime against opposing quarterbacks. If the Browns can convince Schwartz to stay, and Mary Kay Cabot suggests the Browns have liked McDermott for a long time, this could be the dream team scenario we didn't know was possible. A defense that suffocates you, led by 2 of the best defensive minds of the last 20 years. If I told you right now that you could guarantee 11 wins a season for the next 5 years, but you had to risk heartbreak in the playoffs, would you take it? Because compared to the basement-dwelling years we've been through, that sounds like paradise to me. Now, let's flip the coin. Because where there is smoke with McDermott, there is fire with his offensive coordinator, Joe Brady. It is very likely the Browns pick up the phone and call Joe Brady for a head coaching interview. He is already getting looks from the Ravens, the Raiders, and the Dolphins. He is young, only 36 years old, and he has had his hands on the controls of the Josh Allen experience. When you look at the stats, Brady looks like a genius. Josh Allen putting up MVP numbers again. James Cook rushing for 1,600 yards. The offense hums statistically. But I have to be honest with you guys, I have reservations. There is a lot of criticism out there that Brady's play calling gets vanilla in the clutch. That he relies too much on Josh Allen playing hero ball to bail out bad schemes. We saw it in the playoffs. When the lights got bright, the creativity seemed to vanish. Are we ready to hand the keys of the franchise to a guy who might just be riding the coattails of a generational quarterback? Or is he the real deal? I want to put this directly to you because this is the debate that is going to tear Browns Twitter apart this week. If you had to choose right now, do you take the proven veteran winner in Shawn McDermott who stabilizes the franchise instantly, or do you swing for the fences with the young offensive mind in Joe Brady? I honestly go back and forth. One day I want the safety of McDermott, the next day I want the upside of Brady. However, there is one thing about Joe Brady that intrigues me, and it involves our roster specifically. Look at what he did with the running game in Buffalo. Now imagine that system applied to Quinshon Judkins. Judkins is a Ferrari waiting to be unleashed. We know what he can do, he is explosive, he is powerful. If Joe Brady could get James Cook to 1,600 yards, could he turn Quinshon Judkins into the league's leading rusher? Could he finally open up this offense and make us dangerous on the ground and through the air? It is a tempting thought. A young coach and a young star running back growing together? That is how dynasties are built. And look, we have to address the ghost in the room. Kevin Stefanski. He is down in Atlanta now, trying to salvage his reputation with Michael Penix Jr. and honestly? Good luck to him. I said it when he was here, and I will say it now, Stefanski was a good coach, but he wasn't a championship coach. He had Baker, he had OBJ, he had Landry, Chubb, Hunt, and he gave us one playoff win. One. That is why he was fired. That is why the Bills fired McDermott. The standard has changed. We don't just want to be competitive anymore. We want to win the whole damn thing. Stefanski couldn't do it. The question is, can McDermott or Brady get us there? We are likely 2 weeks away from a final decision because the Rooney Rule process still needs to play out. But the menu just got a lot more interesting. We went from scraping the bottom of the barrel to potentially hiring the second winningest coach in the NFL over the last decade. The front office has a massive decision to make. Do they value stability, or do they value potential? There is also the factor of leadership. When you listen to players talk about Shawn McDermott, they talk about a man of integrity, a man who builds a brotherhood. Cleveland needs that. We have had fractured locker rooms. We have had disconnects between the coaching staff and the front office. McDermott brings a CEO mindset. He aligns the building. That might be worth its weight in gold. On the other hand, Joe Brady brings that youthful energy, that relatability to the modern player. Can he command a room of grown men when things go south? That is the unknown. So, Browns fans, where is your head at? Are you refreshing your feed every 5 seconds like I am? Because this feels like the moment. This feels like the turning point. If we get this wrong, we are back in the wilderness for another 5 years. If we get this right, we are hosting playoff games in January. I will be tracking every single rumor, every flight tracker, and every interview right here on this channel. If you want to stay ahead of the news, make sure you are subscribed. We are pushing for 70,000 subscribers, join the family. Let me know your pick in the comments. I'll be down there arguing with you guys all day. Go Browns!